Okay, let's go to the next video. And this is something I'm really interested in. Lockheed's insane attack carrier, the CL-2001. And yeah, that's a big fucking boy, look at it. For those who don't know, that's an F-4 Phantom II attached to a wing of this ginormous aircraft. Just look at this. I saw Youth Pastor Ryan's short about this. I think that shit was bigger than an entire football field, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, let's watch. Okay, give me a second. I need to go to the porcelain throne. Let's keep watching.
In 1969, the U.S. government launched one of the most unusual projects in the history of aviation.
Wait, why the fuck? How? I'm sorry, but what the fuck? How did the pilots were going to the Phantom in? Because that is the cockpit area. What is there some like an elevator, a seat elevator for the pilot? Okay, I'm already interested.
It had only two objectives: determine just how large an aircraft could get,
Holy fuck.
demonstrate what it would mean for U.S. air power. Spearheaded by the most secretive company in aviation.
Here is the size. What the fuck? Holy shit.
The result is the Lockheed CL-1201, a project that to this day remains shrouded in mystery. The 1960s saw breathtaking advancements in the field of aerospace. Aircraft were flying faster, higher, and further, and engineers weren't just pushing the limits of speed. Aircraft were getting larger. The newly developed Lockheed C-5 was a massive machine weighing several hundred tons. Its power and range dwarfed...
Yeah, the threat, the fucking ridiculous economic disaster, yeah. Because it was just ridiculously expensive to make.
anything before it. But it wasn't unrealistic to assume that aircraft could get many times larger. Advances in aerodynamics, exotic new materials, and even new forms of advances in aerodynamics.
X-24 experimental lifting body aircraft. Oh, so it was like a mini... Yeah, I think I realized what is that.
Exotic new materials.
X-15 experimental hypersonic aircraft. Holy fuck.
And even new forms of propulsion.
NB-46 experimental nuclear-powered aircraft. Damn, I wish that thing succeeded, because a nuclear-powered aircraft would be fucking insane. A nuclear jet aircraft. Sorry, let me rephrase. Let me say that all one more time. A nuclear-powered jet aircraft. That would be fucking insane.
We're just around the corner. Much of the breakneck pace in development was fueled by the Cold War.
Yes.
With the United States and Soviet Union vying to gain the upper hand, huge sums were spent developing spy planes that could fly faster and higher, and bombers that could carry more payload further.
I'm sorry, but I think that was the XB-70, right? The potential successor for the P-52. But what the fuck? That's a fucking goose. It's looking like a fucking goose with canards on it. No wonder it was cancelled, because it was fucking gay because of the canards.
Further, the aim was to reach any corner of the world as quickly as possible. To counter the expansion of Soviet power, the United States maintained a strategy of containment. And that meant maintaining a vast fleet of carrier battle groups that could respond to a crisis anywhere in the world.
Yep.
But as the Cold War intensified throughout the 1960s, no corner of the world seemed safe from Soviet agitation. To respond quickly and decisively, the United States looked to radical new technologies. By the 1960s,
Lockheed Advanced development projects. Skunkworks. Oh wait, Skunkworks, that was like the super secret division of Lockheed, right?
60s, the Lockheed California company was developing the world's most advanced aircraft, pushing the technology of the time to its absolute limit. And they had worked
F-104 Starfighter? I would not call this shit super advanced.
with the Navy and Air Force to evaluate new technologies and develop the next generation of military aircraft, much of it highly classified. But in 1969, the company produced an unusual study that seemed out of place even among its cutting-edge research. It detailed an aircraft with monstrous proportions, at nearly 6,000 tons and with an 1,100-foot wingspan.
How many tons? Excuse me?
At nearly 6,000 tons.
Weight of... Okay, let's be correct. Almost five excuse me. 5.4 thousand tons? Holy shit.
And with an 1,100-foot wingspan to serve as both a military transport and an airborne aircraft carrier. Yet today, surprisingly little is known about the project, because Lockheed's study has vanished without a trace.
What?
Even the US Department of Defense has no record of it, as if it were somehow lost or erased from existence.
That means there is a potential that this project is still in development, right? I mean, the Pentagon sure as fuck has the information, it's just super highly classified. So there's a chance, just a chance, that this thing is still work in progress. Holy shit.
But over the years, Lockheed's design has been cited in several other aerospace studies, including a report from 1982 that provides just enough detail to piece together one of the most unusual aircraft ever studied.
Alright.
With a payload capacity measured in the millions of pounds, the Lockheed CL-1201 would represent an entirely new class of aircraft, giving the United States the ability to deploy several hundred fully equipped troops and armament to anywhere in the world within hours, or launch dozens of heavily armed combat aircraft on a moment's notice. And Lockheed's engineers outlined a scenario where these capabilities would be vital for the United States. They envisioned an organized uprising halfway across the globe, instigated by the Soviet Union. Responding to a call for assistance, the US would typically deploy a carrier group and Marines to help stabilize the situation. But in Lockheed's scenario, the Mediterranean would be blocked off and nearby foreign bases would be unavailable. So the 1201 would provide the only means for a rapid strike with a sizable force launched directly from the continental United States. And to explain how this would all work, I've brought on a former BBC News presenter.
What? Okay. Okay, I love that.
Oh, hello there. This video cassette will help you learn about the Lockheed CL-1201. With the new 1201, Lockheed will set a new standard for engineering innovation. But you probably have questions about how it'll all work, so let's jump right in.
Within hours of receiving a call for assistance, an attack carrier would be dispatched from an airbase in Georgia, bound for an aerial staging area over the Mediterranean.
Armed with 24 aircraft and long-range cruise missiles, the carrier's role would be to establish air superiority and function as a central command center.
7 logistics support aircraft would also be dispatched to rendezvous with the carrier over the Mediterranean.
The Logistics Support Aircraft, or LSAs, are giant air...
By the way, I wonder, how big are those wheels? Because I'm willing to bet that those wheels are bigger than a shitload of trucks, to be honest.
Iranian.
The Logistics Support Aircraft, or LSAs, are giant aerial transports, each capable of carrying up to 400 combat-equipped troops, 472 specialized crew, and over 1,000 tons of mechanized equipment, armament, and supplies to last for 30 days.
All 1201s
That's a fucking lot.
would be equipped with conventional land.
Ah, here is the size. Okay, not as big as the trucks, but fucking hell, it's still fucking huge.
Landing gear and operate from paved runways. But for an aircraft of this size, the runway requirements would be absolutely massive. So engineers proposed a novel solution.
For maximum operational flexibility, the carrier and LSAs.
Oh, right. This shit will have VTOL, right? Vertical takeoff and land. I think it had VTOL capabilities.
Will be fully equipped for short takeoff and landings.
Seriously?
Dozens of auxiliary turbofan engines will be housed within the wings and forward fuselage, each capable of delivering an impressive 82,000 pounds of vertical thrust.
Four enormous high bypass turbofans would supply an additional 600,000 pounds of thrust and allow the massive 1201s to cruise at about the same speed as a modern jet transport. But once over the staging area, the carrier and LSAs would need to loiter for extended periods, remaining continuously airborne for up to 30 days. So Lockheed's engineers turned to another unconventional solution.
At the heart of every CL-1201 is a 30-foot diameter, 18,000 megawatt nuclear reactor, similar to the kind already used on nuclear submarines, only much larger. The Air Force and Atomic Energy Commission have spent decades testing systems for nuclear-powered aircraft engines. Now these technologies will finally come to a head. During takeoff and landings, the 1201's cruise engines will run on standard jet fuel, and it's only above 16,000 feet that they will be switched to nuclear power. Each engine is fitted with a heat exchanger and can operate on either jet fuel or heat from the reactor. Coolant loops both inside and outside of a containment vessel will transfer heat from the reactor core while safely containing radioactive materials. Radiation exposure will be limited by shielding, and the reactor's containment vessel would be housed inside an impact-absorbing structure. A minimum 16,000-foot altitude for nuclear-powered operations was selected on the basis that it would provide sufficient time for reactor shutdown in the event of an accident. Engineers are confident that the reactor will be fail-safe even in a head-on impact with a granite mountain, assuming a prior 20-second shutdown warning. Now, how's that for safety?
Along with the carrier and LSAs, a number of conventional jet transports would also need to make their way to the staging area to support the assault force.
Over the staging area, the LSAs would be joined by smaller military transport aircraft referred to as medium inter-theater transports, or MITs. The MITs would rendezvous with the LSAs, docking in mid-flight to transfer troops, weaponry, and supplies. The MITs would then connect to the LSAs via a tow line and remain on standby.
The 1201's blended wing design would make it an ideal platform for mid-air docking and transfer. And with the assault force...
This is the most sci-fi shit that I've ever seen. God, I wish that thing was real. Or maybe it is real. I hope it is real, because, oh, fucking hell, that would be so epic.
Force in place, combat operations would begin immediately.
Working in conjunction with Allied forces on the ground.
The only problem with this thing is the docking aircraft. First, you need to make technology for that, and that's a fucking headache to make docking technology like in sci-fi. But also to make places, you will make. Sorry, the gas is out. Gamersops gas. Anyway, you will need to make it even larger because modern jet aircraft, to be exact, the fighter aircraft, have much larger wingspan than the F-4 Phantoms that it was designed for. And since nobody, no modern country uses an F-4 Phantom, sorry, you will need, and everybody uses either F-15s, F-16s, F-35s, or in case of US, F-22s, and their size, their wingspans is way larger than a fucking F-4 Phantom. You will need to make the wingspan way larger if you want to keep the same amount of available aircrafts on the wings. I hope I got it correctly. I hope I explained it well because I'm a fucking mess as a person. But long story short, for a modern aircraft, you need more space, and you need to make it larger.
Carrier-based attack aircraft would clear
Or-
enemy defenses.
Or if you want to keep the same dimensions, you will need to have less aircraft on it, sadly.
To establish a secure airfield. Next, the MITs would begin shuttling troops and equipment between the LSAs and the airfield, protected by carrier-based fighter aircraft.
Aircraft this large would be high-value targets, but Lockheed's engineers weren't expecting adversaries to get anywhere near them.
By operating at 30,000 feet and at least 600 nautical miles from hostile forces, it would be virtually impossible for the enemy to approach unobserved. But should the enemy attempt to engage, they'd have to contend with an impressive range of counter-air aircraft, long and short-range missiles, and of course, laser weapons.
After establishing
Laser
a sizable
weapons?
presence on the ground, American troops working with Allied forces could stabilize the situation within 30 days and reopen the Mediterranean Sea for a larger, conventional ocean-going naval force.
I hope this video has proved informative. As you can see, the CL-1201 is an entirely new class of aircraft and a new means of delivering a rapid response strike to anywhere in the world, keeping America and her allies safe.
It's not clear what prompted such an unusual design study. Was it a strategic threat, a need to assess the limits of aerospace technology, or was Lockheed simply keeping its summer interns busy? What
Most likely the third one, plus giving them a lot of cocaine. Because how else will you design that kind of masterpiece if it's not for cocaine or even meth?
What's clear is that there are many unanswered questions. Not just technical and engineering, but basic questions like how the fighters were supposed to be rearmed during combat.
Yeah, that's my question. How do you make that? And also, alright, the vortexes, they would have make a lot of mess for the detaching aircraft.
Or how they would have docked with massive wake turbulence coming off the
Yeah,
carrier's
yeah.
wings. Or basic questions like how the fighters were supposed to be rearmed during
Yeah, that's the biggest question. How would you make that possible? The token idea, and in theory, you would have make an entire elevator for the cockpit elevator, for this shit.
combat, or how they would have docked with
And judging by the size of their wing and the fact that is pretty slim, it's impossible to make an entire elevator system in the wing.
massive wake turbulence coming off the carrier's wings. The deeper you dig, the more bizarre it seems to get. But
Yeah.
without Lockheed's original report, we'll probably never get the answers. And in the context of the Cold War, the 1201 is just one of hundreds of highly speculative designs, many of which weren't really supposed to answer questions, but help find the questions yet to be answered.
Wait, Boeing had a potential for something similar? Holy shit.
But even among these countless conceptual designs, the 1201 stands out as one of the most unusual ever produced.
Sorry.
On an early morning in February 1993, something extraordinary lights up the sky over Europe.
Oh, right.
A mysterious beam of light brighter than a full moon.
Wait, what?
And it moves silently for thousands of kilometers from the southern coast of France all the way to Belarus. On the
What?
ground, it looks like an anomaly, but it's part of an experiment so unusual it seems straight out of science fiction.
You're talking
And
about
that is-
something which is several miles across.
It could eventually be a whole network of these cosmic spotlights.
They will transform perpetual night into daylight.
Decades ago, Soviet scientists set out to create eternal sunlight. And it's hard to understand why, years
What?
later, no one seems to remember. You can learn about the incredible Zanami project in my latest video right now on Nebula. Nebula
okay.
is where you'll find hours of exclusive mustard videos that aren't available anywhere else. Videos that explore fascinating stories behind iconic machines and fantastic unrealized concepts.
Okay, that
And
was
it's
an
where creators
advertisement.
like Real Engineering, Neo, Epic History, and Wendover post videos before they're on YouTube, completely ad-free. You can also enjoy a growing catalog of high-quality exclusive originals, like my video on the B-2 Spirit, where I take a deep dive into the origins of one of the most sophisticated aircraft ever produced, or Neo's Underexposure series, where you can learn about topics that aren't really suited for the YouTube algorithm, produced with unrushed storytelling and beautifully crafted visuals. Nebula is owned directly by us, the creators, and that means your support goes directly into improving the platform and funding high-quality projects that otherwise could never have been made. And it's never been easier to access Nebula. You can choose between monthly and yearly subscriptions for as little as $2.50 a month, and even lifetime memberships, which allow you to pay only for an month.
Okay,
Using the link below.
Okay, that's the end of the video. Wait. So this entire section was advertisement for a Nebula video. Okay. Anyway, that was fucking wonderful video, and I wish that thing was real. Really. That would be so badass. But also it will be fucking impossible because of how would you dock the aircraft? Because if you think about it, where is it? Where is the footage?
Fighters were supposed
Yeah, first of all, how will you dock the aircraft? And second, what's with the pilot itself? Because either you have the pilot on the aircraft from the start, or you will make some kind of elevator for the cockpit. Otherwise, it will be impossible. And sorry, but with the pilot inside the cockpit from the start, he will either starve to death from the because he can't do shit, or I don't know, because I bet to you that he will not have food in the cockpit. He will not have any food or drinks on the cockpit. In the cockpit, sorry. Also, he will go blind the minute he dock out, so if he docks out, he will obviously be exposed to a lot of light in a second. He will go blind for a moment. He will not see a thing. And under the
rearmed
turbulence,
during combat, or
and
how
because
they
of
would've
the turbulence, he will not be concentrated a lot. Yeah. If Lockheed figure out how to make that shit real, oh, I will be fucking happy. Anyway, end of this video.